2, 1, go.
All right, we're good.
Oh, all right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And I guess not unspecified. It's Virtual Nation Cast here again. Sorry we missed last week. I was down for the count with the flu.
Or coronavirus.
And the rest of us were too lazy to put on a good show for you.
I had a 103 fever 2 days in a row. So fuck me sideways, I guess.
And we're also all busy.
We're
all busy because of that. So the day we said to have the podcast was fucked because this motherfucker over here got the coronavirus.
Because of me. Yes, It's me. No, I don't have the coronavirus. Eat my ass. Don't even start joking about that. Anyway, we got some fun.
If he had the coronavirus, he'd still be doing the same shit he's doing right now. In his room, being on his computer. Even if he's on quarantine, it's the same shit.
Fuck you. Anyway, so we got some fun news for the week. I guess to start us off, I don't know if this one's specifically that fun, but Freeman Dyson passes away, or has passed away. Yeah, not very pleasant, that one. He's a lifelong hero. Apple made some nice payouts this week. Get your $25, ladies and gentlemen. Google has canceled its developer conference. Firefox is a hero for your privacy. Android is potentially safer for some applications than iOS.
It makes sense sometimes.
Specific applications, and we'll get into that. Development of tech. There's been a development in tech to hide from thermal sensors. Sounds pretty cool, but
pretty devious.
Yeah,
that's some military tech for you.
I've got a review for everyone. I ended up getting something really cool that I want to talk about on stream.
Yeah, after 6 months of getting the other one.
Just tell them. Okay.
I got an S20 Ultra, and I'll be giving a little breakdown of that. I think it's kind of important. Removable batteries might be making a return, courtesy of the European Union. Banana batteries are greater than lithium ion. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, banana batteries. And as a counter to that, we still have graphene batteries, which Samsung has been in the process of developing since I was a sophomore in high school. So, the better part of the last 8 to 10 years.
We're old. We're starting to get there.
Twitter, a Twitter share owner, a large Twitter shareholder, wants Jack Dorsey out. Apple sending care packages to employees in China. A child, yes, ladies and gentlemen, a child made a fake 2020 presidential campaign candidate.
He's a teenager.
He's a child.
He's a teenager, bro. He's in high school.
I love it. I'd vote for him.
Better than anyone else.
Quantum entanglement for the internet.
This is interesting.
Yes,
it's actually very interesting.
Apple calls the iPhone S. Apple's at a fun name.
Whoa!
No! Save it.
Save it for later.
Save it.
Yes, I know. I'm saying
amazing.
Apple's being the special child again. And there's a way for you to help defeat the coronavirus, and that'll come at the end. Microsoft had a shadow launch for a fun game on PC, but we'll get into that later.
We'll save it.
So, I guess to start us off, we got some sad news. Freeman Dyson has passed away at the ripe old age of 96. What a champion.
Jesus.
96 years old.
He made it.
Jesus.
I mean,
started from the bottom, now he's here.
The oldest man in the world right now, I believe, is like 105-ish. I don't know if that's specifically the age, but one of the oldest men in the world is up in his hundreds. So Freeman Dyson was 10 years off age-wise from being the oldest man in the world, which is pretty cool. I mean, I guess if you're leading a very low-impact lifestyle, it kind of makes sense. You know, he's a scientist. For anyone that doesn't know who Freeman Dyson is, he's an intellectual.
No shit.
He served, I guess, in World War II, early in World War II. His career in education was kind of interrupted. So I take that back. Not very low impact lifestyle serving in the RAF. He was a bomb. He served in the bomber command. He was a data analyst. So he evaluated data from completed missions to find a way of getting more out of the Royal Air Force's aircraft. After the war, he returned to Cambridge and finished his degree and started his PhD at Cornell University. He was a prominent physicist. He proposed the theory of like advanced civilizations building a network of satellites in a sphere around their star in order to harness energy and solar waves for all intents and purposes. Of course, that vision has since been skewed. Freeman Dyson's idea was that it wouldn't be filled; it would be like a skeleton. Science fiction has kind of bastardized Freeman Dyson's original idea and turned it into a giant ball of metal surrounding a star. No,
Basically,
that wouldn't work
the ultimate
at
battery.
all. Yeah, that really wouldn't work. At least so physics says. Freeman Dyson's idea was way more conventional for a Dyson sphere. This man brought a lot to the table for physics, and it's just sad to see a hero go.
It was like that day that Stephen Hawking died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rest in
Two extremely amazing men that spent their lives doing things that I could never possibly do with science.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just figured I'd spread the word a bit more about a hero, you know. David, your turn. Have some fun.
Oh,
go
right,
nuts.
So we get some fun here. Okay. So you all remember Apple and the big batteries fiasco and everything? Well,
Fiasco, not Fiscasco. Fuck.
Shut up.
All
Alright. Well, Apple lost their settlement, and they're paying $500 million, which is nothing for Apple, to be honest.
With the number of
Busy
people that
pocket
had their
change.
phone, this specific phone,
That's
no,
Apple
no.
saying let them eat cake.
Yeah. But
God damn it, Frank!
but if you were a previous owner of an iPhone 6 or 7, you can get up to a payout of
I was an owner of both.
Can you get $50?
Can I get $50?
I don't know. I think it's like I think it's a client thing. So it's like you were affected by like one. You might just get like 25.
So
I don't know.
I had to have
I want to
actually
know where
had a problem.
Here, hold up. I want to know where to get this
Being forced to pay
$25.
$5.
I need to find that check in the mail one day and be like, oh.
Yeah. Here's the real question: Apple's paying out $500 million, but to who? The government?
No, to
Government
old
collect the money?
To the people.
to people who own.
Yeah, but how does anyone get it? That's the real
I don't
question.
know how you
So-
get it. I've never been part of this. I don't know.
I'm wondering if you had to sign up for the class action lawsuit as it was in the settlement process to get to the money for it.
I mean,
I once visited a website and got a $10 Visa gift card because they were giving one out to every person who signed up because of some lawsuit. It was really
But
weird.
I'm wondering if this is going to be a lot like LG's class action lawsuit. For anyone that wasn't familiar with it, LG had the LG G4, the V10, the G5, and I think the V20, all with a boot loop issue on top of the Nexus 5 because they used a lead-free solder. And what ended up happening was if your
Bad
phone
solder.
boot looped, yeah, I had 4 LG V10s in the span of 6 months. If this gives you a general idea of the kind of
that's not
issues that LG was going on, I didn't know about the class action lawsuit at the time that it was going on, so I didn't sign up for it, so I wasn't able to get the $300 or $400 that I was technically due. But that's completely outside of the point. I'm wondering if you had to sign up for the class action lawsuit, get your name on a piece of paper to get this kind of money. It's only $25, and frankly, it's probably just going to be in like some sort of Apple Store credit. Knowing Apple.
it might
Another free U2 album.
Oh, shut up.
Oh my god, dude! You know how aggravated everybody I know gets when they get into their car and the first thing that they hear is U2?
Oof.
Because it's the only fucking thing on their phones because they use Spotify. Every Apple phone has it. You can't get rid of it.
They get rid
It's
of it.
forever on your account. Yeah,
you
but it
get rid of it.
autoplays. It autoplays though.
Yeah, it's just annoying. I don't.
Yeah,
Here's the
but
thing.
my
I
poor
deleted it off
dad
my
doesn't know
phone.
how to get rid of it. My poor dad doesn't know how to get rid of it. That's the problem.
Eh,
Most people don't know how to get rid
it's a
of it. And they
first
just
world
deal with.
problem.
Yeah, I guess.
First world
You're right.
problem.
You are definitely right. It's definitely a first world problem, but
Jesus Christ.
you know what else is a first world problem?
It's just $25 though. Well, yeah. Google. I guess we're gonna move on that quick. Google is canceling its developer conference, the I/O developer conference, more specifically.
This is a
Sadness.
bad problem.
Yay! Coronavirus giving us the dick again. So to add to our list of conventions and conferences that have been turned out, on top of IDC, I wouldn't be surprised if the PAX conference gets canceled if it's not already.
No, it's actually happening. I think it's happening right now.
Oh,
that is a brief.
I digress.
If you ever heard of
I
PAX,
back off on that.
If you ever heard of PAX, it's like a breeding ground for like diseases, anyways.
Yeah,
There's probably something worse there than actual coronavirus.
I mean, tuberculosis is potential. If you go flying outside of the country, that's a big one that people generally get checked for when they come back. But thanks to due to concerns about the coronavirus, obviously COVID-19, in accordance with the health guidelines from the CDC and WHO and other health authorities. This is a Google announcement, by the way. This comes from Ars Technica. We have decided to cancel the physical Google I/O event. The company said in lieu of bringing a whole bunch of breathing, potentially coughing people together in one place, we will explore other ways to evolve Google I/O to best connect with our developer community, likely with a heavy focus on online delivery. So,
basically, you're live streaming and shit.
Earlier in conversation, David and I spoke about how David Smile, how we talked about how the coronavirus has pretty much brought an end to the live conference.
Which is
we're
sad.
talking about stuff like game announcements, the tech industry
GDC,
specifically,
MWC,
yep.
Maybe WWDC. I don't think so. Apple's
we'll know about that at some point.
Very stubborn with that.
But I mean, also the car industry is being hit pretty hard. A lot of manufacturers are going to have a hard time bringing their cars out onto the showroom floor. I wouldn't be surprised if the Chicago Auto Show gets closed this year for because of all this shit. So,
I mean, we had our first 2 deaths within the last month.
Well, six deaths in Washington
really?
As of today. Yeah, 6 deaths in Washington. Although it's important to note that you can recover naturally from this disease. In fact, the
mortality rate's only like 2.5% in worst case scenario.
That's if the numbers are being reported properly. And I know we've talked about this repeatedly on our various streams.
The majority of people who die are over the age of 65.
Believe it or not, a 98-year-old male in China, recovered from the virus yesterday, actually.
The virus is more of something of very high contagion, but low mortality rate.
So here's what the research shows so far. Its initial spread was about 2 people to every 1 infected. So if you were infected, there's a good chance you spread it to 2 other people. Who also would spread it to 2 other people if they came into contact with others or before reporting to a doctor, obviously. Slowly, over the last 2 or 3 months, the infection rate has gone down to 1.3 people per person infected, which means every person is going to infect 1 other potentially. Obviously, if you were quarantined beforehand, that's not going to happen. The death rate, if the numbers have been reported, I believe in China, the death toll is up to about 2,000 maybe, and the reported number of cases in China specifically is up to about 90,000, give or take. The United States, I think, is just shy of 1,000 now. Positive cases, just shy of 1,000 positive cases, with 6 deaths. South Korea, it has about 1,500. Unknown number of deaths. North Korea won't report the numbers ever, so there's no point in even bothering.
Yeah, don't even ask North Korea. I believe
Yep.
just don't think North Korea exists. Just forget about North Korea in general.
I'm not 100% sure about anybody else, but I think Japan maybe has a couple deaths and about a couple thousand infected. But the mortality rate for it's only maybe like David said, probably somewhere between 2 to 5% per infected.
I mean, it's still like 20 times more than a flu. The flu is less than a point, 0 point.
But what's known about this particular coronavirus is that in children, children are carriers, but they don't receive the kind of infection that an adult does. So if you're under the age of 45, and furthermore, if you're under the age of like 20, and if you're under the age of 10, the infection scales almost, as might be the right way to talk about it.
It scales on age.
We're talking like children under the age of 10 pretty much exhibit mild systems like it's literally killing boomers.
That's what it's basically doing.
So generally, that's the crowd that shows up at these conventions. Anyone between the age of like 35, which are 30, which is your millennials, and 60, which are your boomers. So they're shutting the conferences down. And while it's sad, it's kind of essential to try and mitigate the spread. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with conferences from here on out, because if there's no showroom and it's predominantly done online, that means viewership will be minimal. It's not like everyone's going to take an entire day off for a live stream, something they could watch a week or two down the line. It's not like it's a conference where you're going to be shown the device on a stage, and then you're going to go to the test floor and test it out for all intents and purposes. So,
and I don't like this. I prefer them to have physical events.
I agree,
because the physical event actually lasts more than a day, because it lasts like for a week, and you have a bunch of people just get together and they just talk about shit for about a week, and they figure out and they just trade ideas and they learn shit from each other. All right, you can't get that online. Well, you can get that online, but you can't get that at these events.
I think for the moment, though, this is probably going to end up being the scenario. It also may end up being more profitable, though. I mean, so we talked about the negatives of hosting an online conference. What about the positives? So first would be cost. A lot of these conferences are
it would be so much cheaper.
A lot of these conferences are done by invite. So first you have to be invited, and generally I'm gonna say Samsung Galaxy Unpacked.
This is a developers conference, though. This is not a phone show off. This is a developers conference.
I know, but I'm speaking in general. Conferences are usually by invite, right? Samsung is
not developer conferences. Developer conferences are just expensive.
I get that, but what I'm saying is your average. Let's say maybe even a third of the conferences that are by invite. Let's say
they'll bring people to like show off their products and everything.
Correct. A lot of the times the host will pay out some sort of money to the people that show up and to the guests who attend. Sometimes they
still make money off of it.
Like in Samsung's case, I know that they'll send invites to the general public, and they'll pay for your flight and your hotel stay. You just have to pay for food while you're there, and a vehicle to rent to get around. So it Uber. Costs, yes, or just Uber. But so hypothetically, a physical conference could cost a company, if we assume that even 10 guests and maybe 3 developers are invited and their flight and hotel stay are covered for. That's the potential of easily maybe $10,000-$15,000, maybe $20,000 easy per every couple of invites. And obviously, in Samsung's case, they probably get some sort of discount since they own an airline. But hypotheticals aside, it's going to be cheaper, and maybe there'll be higher profit margins on an online conference.
That's what Nintendo does. So, if you haven't noticed that Nintendo they don't go to E3 anymore. But they
do go to E3.
They go to E3, but it's not like they
used to not go to E3. They have a physical conference now.
No, they don't have a physical conference. So what happens is
but they have an E3 Direct, don't they?
They have an E3 Direct. That's what it is. So there's an E3 Direct, And then that same day, if you're at E3, there will be stuff on the floor. So, for example, when
They still have to bring employees and
but
logistics
there's no
to the
physical
site.
conference anymore.
No, there's not.
The conference is all done through a direct. And then, since there's already a shitload of people at E3, they just throw out switches over there with the in-development games for people to try.
Yeah.
So,
alright.
That's what happens. But I prefer for like a developer conference like this. Oh, he's back.
Hello. Hello.
I prefer in-person conference.
Agreed.
Because you don't communicate as well online as you would in person. If you have very specific questions, alright, you're not going to get the same answers online you will get in person.
And people also aren't going to be able to test products and software.
And there's also networking too there as well. These conferences, they're specifically developer conferences, alright, are there for networking.
Yep.
This is where people make friends, they
business connections.
Ideas, yes. Things come out of these conferences that are just not just news.
So I think for the moment, at least, it's going to be a postponement to the physical conference. I do believe that at some point there will be a return to the physical show, but it's going to have to be after safety measures to guarantee people's health
because
are taken care of. I think would be the better word.
If we look at this conference, this is basically Google's equivalent to Apple's WWDC. Now, we have not heard anything about WWDC yet, if it's going to be canceled, because it's always held, and because they have their own theater now. Apple has their own theater now.
That's because it's on their new Silicon Valley site. So
they had the Steve Jobs theater.
They'll probably still do the WWDC.
Yeah, I think WWDC will be in person.
But they probably won't take any guests in, or at least not many.
No, but we still have until I believe WWDC happens around June or May.
It happens just before E3, and E3 is still on this year. E3 is still on.
We still have another 3 months.
For the moment.
All right, until that happens. We'll see how well this virus holds up. If things start getting worse,
hopefully there's a cure.
There's work on the vaccine, but that's a different day. There's a vaccine being developed here in America and in Israel.
Excuse me, sorry.
But this virus is causing a bunch of problems.
It's not pleasant, that's for sure.
It's causing too many problems to be nice about it.
The problem is everybody's either going to one extreme or the other extreme, and I think we just need to take a basic
You think there should be a happy medium?
I think there is a correct way of going about all of this, and it's not fear-mongering, and it's not making it so that it's gonna disappear.
Well, alright, so that line of thought is technically true. Eventually, over time, the majority of the population that cannot take the virus would die off.
It's not gonna happen like that.
It's natural selection.
The last time the World Health Organization said anything along those lines of, okay, here's the thing. Every health professional is saying we expect to see more cases.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You weren't here for the conversation though. So let's reiterate a couple of key points. People are recovering from the virus. It's not being widely reported because the news is making money off of fear mongering, and that's 100% the truth. Anyone who tells you otherwise is a liar.
Yeah, there's a lot of fear mongering.
Second,
it, but there's also a lot of.
Second, no one knows what will happen with natural immunity. For all we know, it could provide results like the common cold, which would mean that seasonally your resistance to it would wane. And you could be exposed to it. Hold on.
That's a best case scenario.
Hold on.
That's a best case scenario.
The thing is the human body will always learn to adapt to something. Viruses, bacteria, parasites. The human body can and will adapt. A 98-year-old man recovered from the coronavirus, something that people thought was impossible because the vast majority of people dying from this are older adults with pre-existing conditions. A 98-year-old Chinese man who lives in I don't remember where they said he lived, who lives in China, one of the most disgusting places on earth where infections like this run rampant on the regular, regardless of what the Chinese populace would have you believe, or the Chinese government would have you believe, because their territory is such a shithole from overpopulation, overproduction, and overpollution.
I think that's an extreme way to word it, but I
But
agree that
the
they're
entire point
destroyed
is
a lot of
that
their infrastructure because
the
of
entire point
the
is that
environment.
people are recovering and life goes on. And while it's true that human intervention will help mitigate the effects of the virus, people will eventually become immune to it on their own, at least in some way, shape, or form, whether that's seasonal or permanent immunity, um, like chicken
Yeah,
pox or
well,
shingles.
that's why I'm not saying go extremist about it and fearmonger, but I'm also saying we shouldn't just throw this under the rug and pretend that it's going to disappear in April, because even if it does, if it even disappears, it's not going to be permanent.
I don't think it will disappear.
I don't think
I
it's. I
doubt
don't
it's
think
going to disappear, but it will
it's
become
not
less
gonna
dangerous.
disappear.
I hope to God that, you know what, I hope to God that this just disappears in April or May, but it's not going to be like that, and people need to be prepared for it.
It's going to be
and
less
and
dangerous,
not
though.
and not the kind of prepared that people are being right now. You have a lot of these cases where you have a bunch of crazy people loading up on shit tons of Purell, or asking about the health, about if it's okay to drink bleach to get rid of the coronavirus, because there are actually people asking these questions.
People are
Or the fact people are buying out water and toilet paper like no one's gonna be able to leave for weeks out of their houses because of it. And
and that's the kind of stuff you
that's
ignore. That comes from the media. That's all fear mongering, and it's not even worth discussing or mentioning, because it's just going to
no,
propagate more fear.
it needs to be discussed, but because it's the wrong way to be doing anything.
The problem
Very
is
wrong
people
way.
that are responding like that are already set in their ways, and you're not going to be able to change it. So accepting that there are people like that in society and moving on with your life and trying to educate others that you know aren't going to be like that is what's important. Um, and to not let it affect daily life is also an importance. Like Disney Florida and Disney California are still open, and California has the most known coronavirus subjects, and
Yeah, because
Florida just had two.
it has the most contact with the Chinese border.
Correct.
It's the closest, and most of the imported exports that come to and from China go to California.
Correct.
All right,
But
so you want to move on
Pacific
to the next
Ocean.
one?
They're not gonna cross the Atlantic. That's just
Yeah.
not worth it.
Yep. So our next topic for the night is Firefox and security. So Firefox is the hero of all browsers outside of the specifically designed browsers for security and encryption.
Basic Tor.
Yeah, pretty much. But Firefox, which is just your average browser, has
Big name browser.
has used. I don't want to say it's pretty much following like the one dot route.
It is using one dot.
It is using one dot. And
it's using Cloudflare, so that's why I know.
Yep. To protect your privacy and your browsing data. So
You're talking, bro. Go. You got this.
I'm just trying to like get my thoughts together. Sorry, because the article kind of talks about Amazon safety too, which is not less important, but like not really the point of this. So Firefox it's going to try and encrypt the DNS, for anyone that doesn't know, domain name service.
It's basically what gives an IP the address.
Yep.
Right.
So it's preventing, I guess, it's preventing sites like The Verge from taking browser data. Yeah. For all intents and purposes.
Well, no, that's not how a domain name works.
It's encrypting. Well, all right, explain then.
All right. So what a domain DNS server is? Domain name server. All right.
Oh yeah, that's I screwed up.
It's basically how you assign websites like TheVerge.com, which we're using right now, to an IP address. All right. So instead of having to type in the IP address of the website you want to go to, you just type in theverge.com, and then it goes out to a server, alright, and it goes to match theverge.com to an IP address, alright, and then it just takes that and redirects you to the IP address, and boom, you're on the website. That's how websites work. That's how you access them through the internet.
Yep. And that address lookup isn't encrypted.
Yes, it's not encrypted. That's why they can see you. Alright?
Yeah.
This is they're encrypting that lookup.
Yeah. Which is the gist of what I was trying to explain, but I'm bad at explaining it because I'm an idiot. I don't know much about security, so this is a learning experience.
I mean, you can also make your own DNS.
Yeah.
To give like your own like personal computers in your house, their own basically in their own website name. You know when you go to pay for a website domain name, you're basically just asking for an entry to in like Google's DNS server to point towards your website, your IP when you enter that into your web browser. So and the web browser itself is just encrypting that data on I don't know how many ways, but they're doing some sort of encryption in that chain of looking for the IP address. So basically, just to keep you from being spied on by your ISP.
Yep.
That's nice of them.
Because your ISP sells your goddamn goddamn data.
You give them enough money already, and they're already trying to make more money off of you. Jesus.
Yep.
Oh,
on top of, adding data limits for home networks now.
Yep. 1,000 gigs, baby. You got 1 terabyte.
Yeah.
For a month. That's 12 terabytes of data a year. And I don't know about you, but I can go through a lot of data that in a month's time.
For what
Especially
I know,
when you're
none of the plans I have are capped in any way.
Yeah, that's as far as I know about my area too, but I could be wrong. But that's not important with this particular situation.
Basically, it really hurts anybody who has to restore all their data from a backup online. Like, for instance, my mom, she's been using Carbonite to reinstall a lot of her account data for the business, and she's downloading like 3 something terabytes. But if you've only got 1 terabyte allotted of data a month, yeah, you can stream a lot with that. You download some files, download a game or two, but like really a cap of 1,000 gigs a month? That's super unreasonable.
So here's what I did when it comes to the security and like privacy
stuff. You have a
stuff.
Plex server, don't you?
No, I could make a Plex server, but I don't at the moment. What I do have is I built my own VPN server. Alright, basically you just start up a small virtual machine, you have it run Ubuntu server or whatever server program you want, or you go to like a VPS like Google Cloud Services or like AWS or Azure from Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, and you just start up a Debian or Ubuntu server. Alright, you just install a small piece of program for OpenVPN. And then what I do is that I also create another virtual machine because I'm running. The reason I don't do it in the cloud is because it just costs more money for throughput. So I guess it's cheaper at home to run it on a small computer. So I have 2 virtual machines running. I have one for the VPN itself. It's just they're both running Ubuntu server. There's 2 instances of it, and then another one is running Pi-hole. Okay. And through the VPN, I can designate what DNS I want. So Pi-hole is there to block ads and for privacy. So I created a VPN, my own VPN, that not just encrypts my data, but also blocks ads. And all you do to connect to that point is over your public IP.
You make me sound like I think I'm safe with my data. You're going 2 or 3 times.
Well, I'm still testing it. It's still slower if I didn't have it on. It's just slow. Let's put it like this: if I don't have the VPN on cellular, I get like 100 megabits per second. With the VPN on, Okay. I get 40 megabits per second. Alright, and that's not including if I have any more people on that VPN. That's literally just one device. It's literally just there for my phone. At the moment. But what Firefox is doing is basically just making it's probably using an internal solution because you can set a DNS server within the browser.
Yeah.
So you don't have to set it on the entire system. You can just set it on the browser.
Yep.
And that DNS server on the browser.
You can go into your internet computer and fuck with that too.
So it's probably just having, like, by default, a custom DNS server that's being hosted by Cloudflare where it does a lot of encryption there and back.
Yeah.
It's not a super hard process, but it can make the difference for the consumer.
Yeah.
Which I like. Alright. I would like to get off of Chrome. It's just that most of my passwords and it's still one of the fastest browsers out there, so I still stick with it.
Eats your fucking RAM though.
Every browser eats your RAM at this point. Alright, there's not much of a difference between Chrome and Firefox and Edge.
Yeah. Well, Chromium based and whatnot, but yeah. Let's see. So on with our next topic of the night. Some Android devices are safer than iPhones for certain applications, and so because I don't have an easy way to explain this, I'm just gonna kind of pick and choose pick some things from the article. So the article comes from Tom's Guide, and it's talking about not using authenticator apps on older smartphones. And the reason for it, stated specifically in the article, is that the app is only as secure as the operating system in which it's running on. And this comes from two researchers. The article quotes two security researchers at the RSA conference from earlier in the week, and the week was from 4 days ago, which would be which would have been last week, the week that we were supposed to be streaming, but I had the flu. So Aaron Turner and George Weidman emphasized that using authenticator apps like Authy, Google Authenticator, and there are others. There's Microsoft.
They're like Microsoft version of it.
And I believe there are a couple more than that, but less important to the whole overall topic. It was better than using SMS-based two-factor. They said, though, that an authenticator app is useless for security if the underlying OS is out of date or the mobile device is otherwise unsecure. So it specifically cites here you don't want risks associated with 32-bit iOS. And I'm assuming that probably applies to Android too, any sort of older 32-bit operating system.
It's basically if you have an old iPhone that has a 32-bit 32-bit processor, or an old Android phone that has the equivalent.
Oh, it's even worse than that for Android. It says for iOS, you only want to use anything that's iOS 13.
Makes sense, because you always want to be updated.
Yep, and for Android, I'll use only the Pixel class of devices. Go to Android 1 if you can't get a Pixel device. I've had good experiences with Motorola, Nokia, and Android 1 devices. The problem is Android 1 is being neutered at the moment, and that just has to do with the manufacturer choices. Hold on, I'm going to try and refocus because it's being a pain in the ass. But it says Turner, who is the president and chief security officer at enterprise security provider Highside, warned the audience to stay away from one well-known brand, and the brand, unfortunately, is Samsung. Karsten Knoll, a German phone hacker, said that Samsung was faking security updates last year, so I assume this still has some bearing on how it's going this year, but since this was pointed out, I'd imagine that Samsung is probably in the middle of maybe fixing some stuff. Just assumptions all around. Turner said to stop buying it. the article says that Samsung is by and far from the worst offender among phone makers. Obviously, there's companies like Huawei who are intentionally putting backdoors in their phones.
Oh, this also
I'd
brings
assume,
up the I'm looking at this now.
I'd assume
Also
Xiaomi's probably the worst.
Yeah, this also brings up. You all remember the old everything like from the old iPhone 4 and back. Apple's old chips had a hardware exploit.
Actually, I believe that it's mentioned in the article.
Yeah, that's why I'm bringing it up. It had a hardware exploit. So if you ever had an iPhone 4 or like an old iPod Touch, all right.
I have one.
If you wanted to jailbreak it, you can jailbreak it day one as soon as the software came out. No matter how much Apple tried, all right. It wasn't the best exploit, but it was there. But that's the point. If you have one of these old iPhones or an old Android phone, update. Get that phone out of here.
Yep.
I don't care how much you like it. All right.
Older phones are bad.
It's a problem
for obvious reasons. I've been trying to get my dad to upgrade from his Galaxy S7, and we're working on it once he gets his tax return. But that's outside of the point. One of the clients listed here was using an iPhone 4 with a Microsoft Authenticator. This person traveled to a high-risk country, and his phone was cloned. Obviously, the article says that all sorts of interesting things happened to his accounts. And I'm assuming many people can imagine what those are. Passwords changed, accounts stolen, credit cards gone, and so on. The list could go on and on. I'm assuming if you had some sort of mobile investment app for someone in the age range potentially being talked about here, that would be a problem too. Goodbye to your stocks, but... the article goes on to talk about how iOS devices don't think iOS devices are safer than Android ones. They're not. There are many known exploits for either one, said Weidman, Weidman extracted the encryption keys from an older iPhone in a matter of seconds on stage. The iPhone Secure Enclave offers some additional security, but the authenticator apps aren't using those elements, said Weidman, founder and chief technology officer of Washington area mobile security provider Chevra Inc. iOS is still good, but Android security enhanced SE Linux is the bane of my existence as someone who's building exploits. We charge 3 times as much for an Android phone than we charge for an iOS one, Turner said, referring to an exercise in which hackers are paid by a company to try to penetrate the company's security. Fully patched Android is more difficult to go after. Like it was stated in the article, it's SE Linux's fault for the extra security, and while iOS is based on a Linux kernel, isn't it?
No, it's based on Mac OS, which is by extension based on FreeBSD. Well, not FreeBSD, but BSD in general.
Okay, so not Linux kernel.
No, they're very similar, but they're not. It's not Linux.
Not the same.
All right.
All right.
My problem is that Android phones don't get those updates soon enough.
All right. The article goes on to talk about biometrics are cool, but it's non-revocable. And a case cited was from Malaysia, where a man got his index finger cut off in order for a gang to steal his Mercedes. Don't put biometric encryption on your vehicles, for the love of fucking God. That's just retarded. The only form of two-factor authentication that's safe are hardware security keys like YubiKey or Google Titan keys. That's really a matter of fact.
Basically, if you have a USB drive for your computer and you use your USB drive to log in.
Yep, I do not have one of those.
You can do that with Windows extremely easy.
Probably should do that.
I can even show you in 2 seconds. All right.
Probably should do that.
All right. You just go to Update Security. Don't worry about that.
I don't think you can do that for phones, though. Is that possible on mobile?
No. All right.
Yeah.
But with oh my God, I forgot where it was. Accounts.
It would be under security, wouldn't it?
No, it'd be under sign-in options. All right. And this secure key right here. You can take a random USB, it doesn't matter which one it is, and just make it a secure USB. And your computer will never log in unless you do it.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. That's good to know. But what if you lose the USB key?
You're fucked. Well, yeah. I believe you can still get in just with a password.
Okay.
All right, there's more sign-in options than just that, and then you can just create a new key.
Gotcha.
All right.
It's just interesting to note how easy it is to bypass two-factor authentication.
It's still better than nothing.
Yeah, it is better than nothing.
Most people who get accounts aren't hacker man. Okay, they're social engineers, where
Gotcha.
they try to wiggle it out of you.
All right. Well, it's also just a matter of awareness too, I guess. Don't go on local Wi-Fi networks in high risk areas like grocery stores,
And for the
department
love of
stores.
God, have something to protect you there. If you
Yeah.
do have to go on there, all right, at least if invest in a VPN of some sort. All right.
Yeah. No, it'd be
I literally made my own. Okay. Just because I don't trust people sometimes.
don't trust people.
At all.
Son of a bitch, don't trust people at all. Yeah.
Alright. So.
Someone's always out to do something, and someone's always out to do something. It's not specifically, obviously, it's not specifically everybody, but there's always people out there that are looking to do something wrong in the world.
And he had to leave now.
Who, Jerry? Fuck. I can always start a topic, I guess.
Yeah, I would start this topic.
So scientists develop wearable tech that can hide from thermal sensors, and that comes from CNET. It's published today. So night vision goggles are apparently no match for new wearable tech developed by researchers. I haven't covered this topic at all. This is something Jerry was looking at, so I'm just gonna give a quick run through of the article. The ambitious device aims to camouflage its wearer from heat detectable sensors. While current heat camouflage tech works by matching emitted heat level to a determined ambient temperature. Son of a bitch. I'm yawning like crazy. This new prototype uses a wax-like material that shifts from liquid to a solid to match changing ambient temperatures. The technology can adapt outside changes in just minutes, while inside remains comfortable to the wearer, according to the release from Monday from UC San Diego. The researchers' next challenge is scaling up the technology, and their goal is to create a jacket with the technology built in. But under current conditions, the garment would weigh more than 4 pounds and only function for an hour. According to the release, the team is exploring lighter, thinner materials so the garment could weigh 2 or 3 times less. Until the new camouflage is available off the rack, you can see it in action, here. And this comes from
It's just a video.
Oh yeah, again from CNET. It sounds interesting, but I want to think about what the implications of thermal. I don't want to call it thermal hiding technologies. I guess
It's a military development.
it is
It's a
100%
military
a
development.
military development.
But this is not a military development for like something to go into places like Iraq or Afghanistan or something like that. All right, and this is something for stealth missions mainly against highly.
I mean, it could be useful in the Middle East against terrorism.
No, I don't think so. Because here's the thing about Middle East:
they wouldn't have flares. They wouldn't have night vision goggles.
Exactly. So there's no use for them.
Yeah, it's too advanced the technology for something.
All right, this has to be this is basically there for low underground stealth missions, basically against a world power about the same technological level we are.
Oh man, what's even. I just had the thought, and I know I'm going to regret saying it out loud, but I can imagine it being used in criminal applications and them needing to make a counter for it. Can you imagine all of the Colombian cartels disguising their fucking weed farms with this shit? If the ability of this tech is to camouflage, and by camouflaging it matches ambient temperature outside, right? And a greenhouse with lots of fucking weed in it gets really hot. Like it's really easy to see for anyone that's never seen a police operation where a drug team is moving in on a greenhouse where marijuana is grown. The place is like a fucking Christmas tree on Fleer. And I can just imagine the criminal applications for this, and that's going to require countermeasures. So it may not be as beneficial as it sounds, and it is a military tech, but that kind of shit gets leaked to the public all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
It's not a fun thought for development. It's like the U.S. selling AK-47s and M16s to the terrorists all over again.
yeah, you're right about that.
Not a pleasant thought.
No, it's not the biggest problem. I mean,
is it though?
not really, but it's still not good
No, not in the slightest.
because this causes problems. But these problems are not the biggest problem because there are other ways to find people.
I mean, yeah.
This is only for temperature. There might be other ways to spot them.
Yeah, well, I mean, rough site reflectivity. It's an interesting technology. I can't see applications in civilian use outside of the illegal kind, and that would require countermeasures, which are, I doubt they would release a product without some sort of countermeasure for
I don't
it.
see why
And
they would
my
have to
camera's out of focus again.
I don't think they would have to release this to the public in general.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a reason to release it because it creates too many problems, and there's not much of a market for it to begin with. It's a market for it within the military and within the forces.
It's like solutionism all over again, whatever it's called. It's trying to find a...
You have a solution trying to find a problem.
Yep.
Without a problem trying to find a solution.
Yep, pretty much.
Okay. This is... I don't know why this is being developed for off-the-rack use. That's the thing. No.
I mean, that is a huge concern if this is being developed for off-the-rack use. I mean, I guess... I don't know if there are any animals that see in heat vision.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at that point because
I mean, maybe a hunter could use it.
That is extremely rare circumstance. Like I'm talking, you're talking about one of the wealthiest hunters in the world
to afford a product like this. Yeah.
Yes, there's no reason for it.
There's no reason for this at all. It's literally solutionism at its finest.
Yes, there's no reason for it to be out to the public in general. There's no practical reason for it.
We're being invaded by China, and everyone needs stealth jackets.
Basically, that's like the worst case scenario. Okay.
I mean, literally, that's the only thing I can. What this brings to mind. What was the name of the movie? It was like Red. They made a remake of it recently, and it was kind of a really. This is gonna stick with me the rest of the night. I'm gonna know what the name of the movie is right at the end of the stream, so I'm just gonna Google it now. I'm hating that I can't remember it. Was it Red October? No, it wasn't. But Josh Peck was in it. That's why I remember this. Red Dawn.
Oh.
Right? It was with Chris Hemsworth, Josh Peck, Josh Hutcherson. Yes, that's the right movie. Red Dawn. It's from 2012. All right, cool. I got my answer. Now I can stop dwelling on it. This topic was kind of boring.
All right, so this is your moment, dude. This is when you give out your little review of the S20.
All right, so I did a thing. I upgraded. You did. I upgraded. I'm gonna pull it out of the case just for. Wow, this case is.
Explain how many months you had your old phone.
Shut up.
No. Shut up. Explain.
All right, so I had the Note 10 Plus. I bought it on release. Fantastic phone for the time.
How long did you have it?
I had it since September, which makes it 6 months and 2 days. Yeah. 6 months.
You bought a new phone, everyone.
I kind of. All right, so first and foremost, let me justify the purchase. So I love the Note 10. don't get me wrong, this phone was fantastic and kind of hit a lot of check boxes for me. So I'm a full-time college student. I'm pretty sure it's come up in stream before. I'm taking history classes for all intents and purposes. I'm doing it. I'm taking them 4 days a week. I've got history of Roman Civ, history of medieval Europe. Oh, I'm also an anthro major, so I'm taking it a couple anthro classes. I've got Latin America before Columbus and World War II class. And by the way, on top for the World War II class, I've got a project where I am going to try and conquer Europe as Germany and do what Germany couldn't. That's for later. Will potentially be streaming it. I've been recording some of the episodes. I may post them up later. Anyway, so for me, I kind of wanted a large phone, and the Note 10 checked those boxes. It's a 6.7-inch screen, Note 10 Plus. It's got a fantastic display, great battery life. The pen is awesome for writing notes on the fly, like if I'm stupid and put my notebook away, which has happened. That's why I know it's come in handy. For personal uses outside of school, for pleasure, I've got the pen so I can draw. It's fantastic for Jackbox Party. If anyone's never played Jackbox Party, you have first and foremost, you're not living, because Jackbox Party is fucking amazing. But second of all, the pen is just great for drawing, and that was like a niche use case. I rarely played Jackbox, generally for like drinking parties. Yay, adult life, I guess. Wireless charging is nice, but the pen. But back to the pen. The pen was great for really for just a couple niche applications. The cameras are cool. Optical stabilization's really useful. It's got good electronic image stabilization. Overall, the cameras are fantastic. The audio quality is great. The audio drivers are fantastic on the Note 10 Plus. I just overall really like the Note 10 Plus. But one of the biggest issues I had with it is that the processor is technically 2 generations old. So, for anyone that isn't in the know about the Note 10 Plus's development, Qualcomm couldn't get enough of their next generation processor. I believe it was either the 860 or the 865. We're on the 865 with the S20 Ultra. But I believe, if I remember correctly, their numbers go for an S series phone, they drop a 5. For a Note series phone, they drop a 0. So it would have been the 860 for the Note 10 Plus, the Note 10, Note 10 Plus, and Note Lite, which is out now, I guess. And the 5G. And a 5 series for the S phone. So the S20 Ultra got the 865, which it was slated to. But the Note 10 Plus and the Note 10 and the Note 10 5G, which should have had the 855X or the 860 for that matter, didn't get that because of production issues. I guess there was some sort of delay in production, or Samsung just couldn't be bothered with trying to throw it in. And they really didn't do much to the clock speeds on the 855. So it wasn't really a future-proof phone. It was using a processor that was frankly already 8 months old at that point. It was just kind of behind the times. Well, that's not a bad thing. It just really was behind. So it would have aged faster than had it come out with its intended
Oh, welcome
specs.
back. He's doing his S20 review.
Sorry,
You're good,
guys.
dude. No worries.
When life hits you, sometimes you just gotta take care of shit.
No, you're good. No worries. We covered your topic because you weren't here. We figured we'd just move forward.
Don't worry about it.
But I mean, overall, while the Note 10 was a fantastic device, I'm thinking that the next decade worth of phones, starting with the 20 series, will really show some big improvements, and some of those improvements we'll talk about later, because they're part of a couple other topics that we have tonight, or 2 other topics that we have tonight. But the S20 really hits a couple soft spots. First and foremost, let's talk about some reasons why I don't like it. It's chonky. This phone is huge. We're talking it's thick.
Yeah.
I'm gonna post. I'm gonna just show. I mean, I'm in a D-brand case. Shout out to D-brand for how fucking tight this case is, because I can't get my phone out. D-brand for how. Oh god, my phone just went volume up. Stop being loud. Hold on, one sec. I'm gonna try and get my phone out of the case. This is a really, really tight case. All right, cool beans. We're out. This is a chonky phone. I'm not even kidding. It is thick. Look at this. I don't have a ruler. I don't have a ruler, but I'm gonna just put my Note 10 Plus up against it, and you can see this is a thick with 4 C's for a phone. Like it's pretty up there. Not gonna lie. The camera bump is huge. I guess that kind of goes with the fact that it's got like 5 or 6 cameras on the back. Again, shout out to D-Brand. I paid for this case myself. Obviously, we're no sponsorships. We're new. But this case is awesome. The phone is thick, and that is due in part to its 5,000 milliamp hour battery. Not gonna lie, that battery kind of makes that kind of seals that deal for me. And I don't really like thick and chunky phones, but I'm making an exception with the S20 Ultra because a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, it's fucking goat. I got no other words for it. I mean, I got the phone with 50% battery on it at 1 o'clock. I had opened it up, taken it out, done my peel, and I'm getting fuzzy again. So sorry, my camera's just being stupid tonight. And I'm at 28% battery now. I've got 6 hours. I've had 6.5, 7 hours. Sorry, I can't count. 7 hours and 45 minutes of screen on time exactly at this moment. We're talking heavy usage. We're talking setup. I had to do all the setup for the phone, and everyone knows updates kill battery. I've put it on 120 hertz, and that's another big reason why I like this. I can only keep it in 1080, and that's not a problem because you really can't tell with how nice the screen is that it's in 1080. And 120 hertz was a big player over the 60 hertz on the Note 10 Plus, and the panel's really nice and bright and color accurate. But the battery has a lot to drive on this phone. The speakers, which I've used on and off to test the audio quality just for shits and giggles, the screen, and every other application that I've been doing. I've been gaming on a little bit. And for all intents and purposes, this battery has lasted what a full day on my S8 Plus to about 8 months. 8 months ago would have lasted, and my Note 10 Plus, which is 6 months old, lasted. And that's at 50% battery. I think that makes it worth it. One thing it's missing, something that the S series last year had, was the headphone jack. So Samsung has officially removed the headphone jack from all flagships.
Yep.
Plain and simple. They're gone. They're not coming back. And I think the timing is what's important for this. It's a conversation I've raised with a couple iOS users before. I had the S8 Plus when it came out. I had a headphone jack. The S9 had the S9 and the Note 9 had the headphone jack. The S10 had the headphone jack. The Note 10 lost it. Now the S20 lost it. I think it's important that Samsung waited till now, really, to pull that headphone jack, because there's such a large availability of Bluetooth headphones on the market now that it's not going to hurt anybody to not have the headphone jack. And for that matter, the cost of said Bluetooth headphones is equivalent to that of your average wireless pair, or of your average wired pair from 8 years ago. I mean, put it like this. With the S20, and this goes with every Samsung flagship, Samsung includes a pair of USB-C headphones. But if you break these, it's $100 to replace them. And that's if you choose to, for that matter. And while they're fantastic headphones, AKG has some fantastic, I'm talking real fantastic, they're great headphones. Audio tuning, it's not worth it to spend $100 when you could spend $20 more and get a pair of the Galaxy Bud Plus at 120. I think it's 119 or $129, so somewhere between 120 and $130. A pair of the Galaxy Buds, not the Buds Plus, will suit you just as good as the in terms of audio quality as that on the wired buds you got with your phone, and that's if you break your wired buds. Um, so timing is really what's important. Something that a lot of other companies have kind of not that have fallen. I guess not is the wrong word. That have fallen apart on. I mean, Apple kind of ditched the headphone jack. What is it now, David? Like 4 or 5 years?
It's been since the iPhone 7.
Yeah, so about 4 or 5 years almost. Apple's ditched that headphone jack, and Apple claims it's for their minimalism, and I guess that's a believable excuse, only partially. Minimalism is nice, but what's the point of minimalism?
It was also sort of a push for Bluetooth headphones.
Yeah, but it was just the wrong time. Bluetooth 4.0 was out, and
the only reason it's happening now is because they did it before. The reason why Bluetooth headphones started becoming popular is because we all knew after Apple stopped putting headphone jack on there, other companies would follow.
I'm gonna hold you though. Let's talk about natural progression. So Bluetooth has been a thing for a very long time.
Yes.
I think since some of the earliest quote unquote smartphones, we're talking like the original Motorola Razr, some of the original Nokia handsets had it. Not smartphones, but like plain old, not the smartphones of today, but like the early smartphones, sliders.
Prior to 07.
Yeah. Bluetooth has been around for a very long time, and for that matter, so is Bluetooth headphones. The applications for Bluetooth headphones in the early 2000s was small earpieces for talking on the phone.
Yes.
And those were hip and stylish, and if you had money, you bought... Yeah, they were hip and stylish, and if you had money, you bought them because it made you look cool, and you were talking on the phone wirelessly, and that was really the point of them 10, 15 years ago. Move forward to 2007, 2008. So the modern smartphone became a thing with a touch screen and the headphone jacks and all the applications that came along with them. And Bluetooth kind of remained the same. Over time, headphones became more advanced. Bluetooth 2.0 came out. Bluetooth 3.0 came out. Audio over Bluetooth became better. Latency was reduced. A natural progression. I think regardless of whether or not Apple pushed for it, the market would eventually have swung to the wireless spectrum. And I think that's visible when you look at the PC and console markets. Wireless headphones started popping up long before Apple removed the headphone jack from their phones.
Yes,
it's only a matter of time.
But they used a USB jack for it.
Correct, but it's only but that's because 2.4 gigahertz spectrum and 5 gigahertz spectrum for wireless is more stable than Bluetooth.
The point I'm bringing up is not that it wasn't going to happen sooner or later, but I believe it happened sooner rather than later.
I think Apple kickstarted it too early.
Well,
Bluetooth 5.0 is a thing now.
They kickstarted it in general.
It did, but I think Bluetooth. I think if we follow natural progression, like I said, I believe Bluetooth 5.0 is a thing now. And it's way more stable than Bluetooth 4.2, 4.1, and 4.2, which was even 3 years ago. Battery consumption for Bluetooth 5.0 is significantly less. It's just a more stable platform. And stability is the key. 5 years ago, Bluetooth headphones had maybe an hour or two of battery life at most. And we're very, 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 there was very unstable. Latency was a huge problem. I had an LG V10, and the LG V10 was one of the first, and I mentioned this before I had it, was one of the first phones to get a Bluetooth 4.2, and it had a whole bunch of really cool software suites that improved audio via Bluetooth. But you couldn't use them because anytime I used my Bluetooth headphones, the audio cut out. It was practically useless.
That's bad.
So I understand that maybe a push in the right direction is what Apple did, but I think it was too early. And I think now with Bluetooth 5.0, again, reiterating that Bluetooth 5.0 is really the game changer for the wireless market.
Well, the reason I'm saying this is because in the last few years, it hasn't just been this year. Right.
No, it's happened over time. HTC dropped it. LG dropped it on some of the devices.
Dropped it.
I do believe Google did drop it, and it's just a matter of natural progression. I think Apple started the trend, and I give them credit for it. But give credit to where credit is due. The market moved at its own pace. Samsung recognized that removing, regardless of whether or not they're going to talk about it, I think it's a pretty fair assessment to say that Samsung recognized the potential negatives of dropping the headphone jack too early. And that's why for 3 generations almost after the iPhone did it, Samsung and many other big manufacturers still had the headphone jack. And I think that's the distinction. I think Apple was too far ahead of the times for it. And that's not a bad thing, being ahead of the times. I think it's not sorry. I think it's not smart. And then they didn't lose sales because of it. But I feel like some people, a lot of people, were annoyed at the fact that they had to use this unreliable platform for audio when previously they had no there were no issues with their audio solution. And let's not ignore that, Let's not ignore the fact that there were issues with Bluetooth at a point in time when Apple made a decision that negatively impacted their market. Taking away a feature and replacing it with something else that is less reliable is not consumer friendly.
Well, they released the iPhone 7, I believe, at the same time they released the original AirPods. They released it a few months later.
I believe the AirPods came out 6 to 8 months later, yeah.
All right.
I do know that Samsung at that period in time had I think that was at the same time that the Galaxy S8 came out, and at that time Samsung released the original Gear Icons. I think they were about 2 months ahead of Apple into the true wireless headphone game.
But they didn't last long.
My dates later. No, the Gear Icons were around for a while. I mean, that's why we have the Galaxy Bud Plus today.
But they weren't as good as the AirPods at the time.
They had less battery life, but the audio quality was better because of AKG. Beats has the worst audio drivers on the market, plain and simple. And their DAC is useless. And Beats in general is just a really bad company. Personal opinion, again, fight me on it. I generally don't like Beats. I think the audio is bad compared to what other manufacturers put out at that price. And it's just preference, I guess. I'd much prefer Sony, AKG, Bose to what Beats provides at their price range. Fuck, I just dropped something. But I guess to continue though, with my little shorthand review of the S20, is it worth it in the long run though? The S10, the 10 series of devices, the Note 10, the S10, that family of phones is dropping in price. And let's look at some of the differences. Older processor, less RAM. On the Note, you get more storage. The base storage for the Note 10 series of phones, I think the 10 Plus is 256 gigabytes of storage. If you bought the
base
S20,
RAM is the same.
The base RAM is the same?
The base RAM is the same, but
What about the S10? Is it the same? 12 gigabytes of RAM on the S10?
Actually,
I think it's 8 gigabytes on the S10. I'm positive it's 8 gigabytes. I think the Note 10 is equivalent, but only at a specific spec set. Regardless, the Note, you get more storage.
If you get the ceramic, I believe it's
yeah, but you have to spend way more money on the ceramic than you would on the regular S10 and the S10 Plus. So I think that's a little bit less important. Oh, the other thing is 5G. 5G is standard on the entire 20 family now.
Okay, yeah. So the S10 is 8 gigabytes, except for the S10 Plus, which has a 12 gigabyte RAM option.
All right. And again, on release, the S10 Plus is, for all intents and purposes, if you count for inflation, roughly the same price as the S20 Ultra upon release. The S20 Ultra is about $1,499, or $1,399, so about $1,400. And the S10 Plus in its base configuration was like $1,299. That's a year's difference, so it's $100 increase over the previous generation. That accounts for research and development, market changes, and inflation. It's about what I would imagine an incremental, quote unquote, incremental upgrade from one generation to the next would look like. The prices have decreased for the 10 series, though. Again, that begs the question, though. Are you willing to sacrifice 5G? 5G is becoming, if you live in America at least, and many European countries, 5G infrastructure is increasing and fast. A year ago, I probably would have said 5G is absolutely useless. Right now, I would eat a sock over that comment for all intents and purposes.
Right now, rather than useless, it's more like 5G is coming.
It's more than just coming. We already have 5G in my Palm Beach County. 5G is here, and it's here to stay. We have millimeter wave in almost in all the cities. We have medium band all over the fucking town that I live in. The village, I guess, and we have shortwave anywhere else.
I wonder if I'll get any of this short, medium, and.
You're in the boonies. I don't know if you're gonna get it yet.
I mean, I get 5GE.
But that's literally just 4G LTE with a fancy name.
I know. Actually, if you get an unlocked phone, can you get the 5G?
Yeah, you have all the bands. You have all the bands the thing about the unlocked phone is that you have all of the bands unlocked. You can go to any cell carrier.
Because all of the phones are the same except for their firmware.
I'm getting off of my parents' plan. My family uses AT&T. I'm getting off their plan, and I'm thinking about joining Google Fi. It's $70. It uses T-Mobile and Verizon's network. It's got 5G, unlimited data, unlimited talk and text. It's got roaming, so that way I can go to other countries if I felt like it. I'm thinking that's probably what I'm gonna do because it's cheaper than T-Mo and it uses the same network. And it's Google, and I've already got a lot of money invested in Google. I might as well drop another $70 a month. Who the fuck am I kidding? Just being real right now. It's cheaper than any other phone plan that I can get.
Need another $70 lost a month for pointless shit.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna be paying. I'll be paying off a lot of my other bills. That's not a concern right now. But
yeah,
to the topic at hand, 5G comes standard across all the S20 models, so you're future-proofed. You've got the newest processor,
and this means that all of Samsung's flagships from here on out are going to
have 5G.
either have this or have this plus the ultra wideband. Because eventually Samsung's going to be adding ultra wideband, but we're probably going to see that whenever we get ultra wideband on any of the Snapdragon chips.
So the important distinction to make here then is it worth it to buy a 10 series device over a 20 series device right now? I'm going to say no.
Is it worth it to buy a 10 over a 20 series?
Yeah.
I think it basically depends on your budget.
But I'm still going to go out on a limb and say no. I think you're better off shilling out a couple extra dollars in the event that you can afford it, or don't upgrade until you can afford it, because you're going to be missing out on a lot of features that are going to make this next decade of cellular devices.
If someone said they were going to get the S20, right? Someone said they
the basic S20.
Do we have we don't have an S20e. So
we have. So the S20 is essential. So Samsung redid their marketing scheme. The S20 is the S10
model. They pretty much got rid of the cheap.
They basically put on Apple.
They didn't get rid of the cheap model. It's that the E model never should have existed anyway. Samsung's branding for the S10 and the Note 10 line of devices.
If someone was gonna get an S20,
well, hold on, real quick, just to clarify for people that don't understand. The S10 series had the S10e, the S10, the S10 Plus, and the S10.
Now we
Plus
only
5G.
have S20.
Hold
S20 Plus.
Hold on. The Note 10 had a similar branding, and then there's the light models that came out later on top. So Samsung, people complained about the E model because there's no reason an E model should ever existed. What does E mean? Essential or something? Like fuck. So they rebranded again. The E is the basic model, the S20. Then there's the Plus model, which is your average Plus model, and then there's the Ultra model, or I guess the Plus model, which is your basic model, or your basic middle ground model, I guess, the middle of the road, and then the Ultra, which is essentially the Plus. If that makes sense. Yes, Plus is Plus, but Ultra is also Plus because it's the big model. It makes no sense at all.
Listen. This is what I was gonna say. Is that
It should have been just
if someone said that they were looking at an S20 or an equivalent device, how much does the S20 go for right now?
um
Starts at $899, right? I think.
yeah, I think so. I think so.
Okay, so $899.
It's equivalent to the E was at launch, give or take.
Well, okay.
No,
okay.
it's not. The
But
E launched at like 600, 6 or
the
700.
E launched at 750.
All right, so that means it's $100 or it's $50 or it's $150 more. It's an incremental
Okay.
price increase, so it is essentially equivalent in price to the E model from last generation.
So let's, for instance, take the Note 10 Plus 5G.
That was like a $1,500 purchase.
Starts at $800.
Right now,
5G,
yes.
the Plus 5G. Yeah, and just a regular Note 10
But you'd be
Plus,
getting a processor that's 2 generations old because of the Qualcomm's inability to produce an 860 or the 855X. So you're essentially behind the times already on the processor by 2 generations.
It's not a slacker for it's a last year model. It's exactly
I'm not saying
what
it's a
it is.
slacker, but it may as well be equivalent.
But for instance, the phone that I have right now, unfortunately, starts at $450.
The S10 Plus, the Note 10 Plus.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry. The Note 10 Plus is the one I have. The Note 10 Plus
starts at about 700.
It's 700. Oh no, the one I have is 600. I'm sorry. It's a Note 10 Plus 256. That's the one.
I'm still gonna say you're better off saving an extra month before upgrading, because you're missing out on 5G.
That's $300. That's a $300 jump from $600 for the Note 10 Plus.
Unless you really want the pen.
To just the S20.
Unless you really want the pen, it's not worth it.
I mean, we could also say the same for the S10 Plus. The S10 Plus is even further so.
Yeah, but again, you'd be missing out on the 5G. I think 5G is the
if 5G really, if for them, if 5G is not important for the next 2 years, I would say not getting an S20 is a good idea.
I think you'd be missing out on a lot. I really want to say that
I don't know how much you'd be missing out on.
You gotta also remember, there's not a bunch of people who use a phone like you do.
Correct. I am a power user. Beyond, I am a definite.
Like for instance,
take notes in class on my phone.
I'm just saying, like for most people, I'm not saying you or me because I got an S20 Ultra as well. You have to remind the people I'm fighting the good fight for this. I bought the S20 Ultra, and I'm gonna tell y'all, don't fucking do what I did. Okay.
I'm like,
oh goddamn.
Here's what Samsung did too. By the way, they pulled an Apple basically. What they did with their
S10, the S10 Plus 128.
All right. So they basically just made the budget model the default model.
Yeah.
All right, and then they just made a separate like the high end models. So when you said they made just the S20 the replacement for the S10e, all right.
Basically, if you want to pay
Apple
less
did the same thing where they moved the iPhone XR XR, all right, and just got rid of the XR and just put it as iPhone 11. It's basic, what people use, and then you just have the Pro options. All right.
I do believe though that if you're in the market for an upgrade and you're willing to shell out some extra money and you're willing to wait a little longer, because over time.
But what if they're not willing? What do they buy? They're not willing to do those things. What do they buy? Do they get an S10 Plus or a Note 10 Plus?
I would say the Note 10. I would say if you can invest in the Note 10 5G, that would be a better idea. The problem is the benefits.
I think the S10 Plus is the better of the two options because the S10 Plus has better front-facing camera, even though it has a slightly larger
than the S10 Plus. You think?
I had an S10 Plus and it didn't bother me. Basically to me it was no different to what I have now. Even if it seems like a big difference when you're using it, it's not that big of a difference.
I don't know. I don't like being an advocate for.
It has a headphone jack.
My thing is we talked about security earlier about how buying older phones is a problem.
Better.
The thing is that you're gonna have less security on a phone. That's not to say. All right, so. The S10 lineup, the S10 lineup and the Note 10 lineup will be supported for another 2 years from release date. which would be mean you should have the device till 2022 and get the same security updates for all intents and purposes that an S10 an S20 would get. But on the processor front, you're already 2 years behind. And that's not to say that the 855 isn't a chicken processor, because it is a fantastic processor. But I don't think it's necessarily up to snuff. Because the 855X was a thing, and now we have the 865. You'd be missing out on the 5G.
We're probably gonna get the 870 next month.
You mean in September when they drop the Note?
Yeah, 875.
No, it'll probably be the 870.
900.
It'll probably be the 870.
No, the 875 will be announced, but Samsung will miss it again.
Don't do this to me. Shut your fucking mouth right now.
It's true. Just watch. We'll talk about it when it comes to that.
Yeah.
All right, so we want to move on to the topic.
At least at this moment.
Here. Let's just put it like this.
If
the
you
S20
can afford
is
it,
a great phone.
do it.
If you can afford it, go for it. If you can't afford it, get something else.
I mean, there are other options on the market that are
If you're
cheaper.
picking from any of Samsung's flagship phones from the last year, you're probably going to be set fine.
Or you can try. Google,
I
you can try a Pixel.
The Pixels are nice.
I
wouldn't. I'm sorry. I don't think I'd ever tell anyone to buy a Pixel, and the reason why is because Google's quality control with those things are just shite. I mean, have you looked at all of the release issues?
They don't have the ability to do
like
that.
the quality control
here.
on those drops are just shite.
Let's move on to
the EU and their removable batteries.
Effing over Apple. Really hard.
This isn't specifically just an Apple thing. There are a lot of device manufacturers that,
like the phone you just bought.
All device manufacturers. I was gonna say a lot, but really it's all device manufacturers for a very long time now have been on monoframe. So you have everything is attached to the frame of the device. Everything is glued down or welded down or milled in the case of Nokia.
Or taped together.
Nokia literally mills their phones out of solid fucking aluminum, so you can't remove the back plate at all.
There is no back plate, it's just a phone.
There is none. It's literally a glued-in screen to an aluminum brick. And Microsoft makes a solid magnesium chassis for all of its Surface devices. I mean, fuck, this is a real screw-up by the EU, and this is really, really, really gonna hurt a lot of manufacturers and a lot of people. So, the article from TechRadar proposes a question: are you constantly annoyed that your smartphone battery dies before the rest of the phone? Now, I'm going to counter that. Are you constantly annoyed that you have an old phone that's battery can't keep up because it's more than 5 years old? If you have a phone that you bought within the last 3 generations, I'm going to be generous and say 4, actually.
And it's still somehow getting support, which I doubt it is.
Yeah, so you shouldn't have that phone to begin with, unless it's an iPhone, and even then that's a bad idea, because 4 generations ago was the 7, and the 7, and the 6.
The 7 is still somewhat supported.
Yeah, but those battery problems, though, with Apple intentionally throttling the battery, it just kind of leaves a bad taste for the device number. Regardless, you shouldn't have the phone. But following that, unless if you bought a phone within the last 2 years, your battery is better than ever. The production quality of these batteries has improved.
No matter who it's from.
Dramatically. In the case of Samsung, it's both the dramatic improvement in battery manufacturing, but also the virtual intelligence that accompanies the phone improving battery usage over time. Because as I discussed with Jerry and David at one point within the last week, over a battery drain test done between the S20 Ultra, the new iPhone, and a couple other new phones.
It was Mr. Who's the Boss. Who's the Boss State it.
Samsung's battery, the battery life improves over time because of the intelligence of the phone, knowing how you use your device. It improves efficiency based on what you do during the day and how you do it. And that's Samsung's method. And it works. Like on my S8 Plus, which was a 2.5-year-old phone, at the time of my purchase of the Note 10 Plus, I was getting almost 5 hours a day, and I had never replaced the battery of the phone. The phone had never been RMA'd. The phone had never been damaged. It was all stock parts. I was getting 5 hours of battery life because of Samsung's improvements on the software that accompanies the battery.
It's also the same thing with Apple and other devices like Google and everything. They use AI to basically optimize your performance of your phone to help battery life.
With my Note 10 Plus, after 6 months of 6 to 8 months of or 6 months of use, 6 months and like 2 days, I was getting battery life well over 10 hours a day, and I only started and when I first started the device, I was getting 8 hours a day. Batteries will consistently improve over time, whether that be the manufacturing process, the software that accompanies the battery, the control software of the phone that monitors your activity on the phone. Whatever it be, the batteries will improve. So the EU pushing for a removable battery is seriously a serious negative. It's going to hurt the consumer more than anything else in the long term. And it will be a problem because let's think of some of the amazing things that have come out of having a monoframe phone. And I know it sounds really redundant, but because you have a solid frame phone, you're able to have a fixed mount for a wireless charger. You can wirelessly charge your phone because you have a glass plate fixed to the back of your device. Sounds like common sense.
If you want to put wireless,
if you have a removable plate from your phone, like a plastic piece, then there's no room to support a wireless charger, and furthermore, plastic isn't conductive for wireless charging.
And plus, do you really want, like, first of all, when you add another plate on the back of the phone, you need all the internals, alright, to work so you can have a plate that comes off and easily, alright? Not just to make the phone a bit thicker, alright, because the battery that come with it, the batteries are in phones now, they don't need to be rigid batteries.
Thick. And like I said, thick boy.
They don't need to be rigid, alright? Most of the batteries, if you actually take them from a phone, like an iPhone or like
they're kind of fluidish, aren't they?
Yeah, they go like this basically, and they're very like they're like paper sort of.
Don't take the battery out of your phone at home, please. I beg you, unless you know how to repair it or unless you're certified, don't fucking do it.
Yeah.
Because if you mess up, you can hurt yourself.
But the thing is, when you have a removable battery, there's a lot more construction into the battery to keep it like rigid. You can hold it. You can't get damaged. All right.
Yeah.
There's a lot more material that goes into it. It makes it bigger. All right.
Yep.
And the stuff
I had the LG, like I said, I'm gonna go back to it. I had the LG V10. It had the removable battery. It was cool, but boy, thick boy. It had solid steel rails too.
All right.
Thick.
So by adding everything to the back of the phone, not just is it worse for the environment, because I think they quote the environment in this, right?
Yeah,
it creates waste. Anger,
more waste.
It creates. That's less waste.
All right. Furthermore, back to the device itself, outside of just the battery being thick and creating more e-waste, you also have to the back panel, that glass that's on your phone,
it's gone.
It creates some structural rigidity. So the phone's sturdier, less flexing on the phone, which means less chances for it to break. Also, there's the water and dust resistance that comes with having a solid frame phone. Your phone is inherently safer because there's less gaps. Yeah, there's less gaps for air, dust, and water to get in. And I guess there's also some shock resistance there because it's one solid structure versus, a non-solid structure.
Yeah.
It's just as much as I hate to say it, because as much as I enjoy repairing my own stuff, um, as much as I enjoy repairing my own stuff, I don't enjoy bad business practices. I do enjoy having a stronger, sturdier, safer phone. And I just think that this push by the EU to make more consumer friendly devices isn't really more consumer friendly when you think about it.
Honestly,
It's causing problems.
removable batteries isn't coming back.
No.
I mean, this is the EU we're talking about. This is super liberal dumb.
Do
push for whatever they feel like.
Do you know what Apple's gonna do for the EU?
They'll
Nothing.
sue they won't, but
They
they'll
won't
also
even
probably
release
sue the
it.
shit out of it.
Look. Apple does not have to make phones for the EU.
They
Yeah.
just make them for the US and China. Yeah.
The phone company in the EU is just gonna fall through.
How many people?
No one's gonna buy
Do you
phones.
think that UK makes up in iPhone purchases?
The biggest places in the world that buy iPhones, I believe, are the United States and
China,
I believe.
Canada. Yeah,
Hold
well,
on.
Canada is basically also part of the US. Okay.
All right. So here's the thing. Apple's gonna be like, it's a product. We sell product. You buy product. You use product as is.
We are not
You
forcing
do not
you to.
demand a fucking removable battery because you want one.
All right, so
It's a service and it's a product. You bought into the service and you bought into the product, and now you're complaining about the ultra high prices that Apple is giving you for a new battery. Seriously?
Yeah.
You bought into Apple ecosystem. What did you fucking expect?
So iOS is prominent in China, the United States, Canada, Japan,
Yeah, right.
Australia.
I figured Japan as well. I just wasn't certain.
Yeah, Japan has a large iOS market share.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though all their phones are supposed to be waterproof. But yeah, you don't see Japan complaining because they have certifications that they need to meet their specs for students' phones, and Apple doesn't meet those requirements.
Apple, I hate to be like that, but I don't think Apple a lot of user requirements, but that's just outside of the point. I mean, I'm not getting personal. I'm not getting technical here, but personally, I'm not.
No
I'm
one.
not fond of
Okay,
iPhones.
let's put this in the same shoes. Does Samsung? This is just an Apple thing right now. Why is this not for all phones?
It is. It looks like the article in that it looks like it's targeting iOS.
It is targeting.
I made the point of
But
including at the start of this rant that it's not
when's
just
the last time
Apple.
Samsung had? Okay, I know Samsung has had
The
a
Galaxy
removable
S6.
battery. Yeah, it was the
I already
S6.
answered your question. S6.
There you go. How
Yeah,
many
we're
years ago is
talking
that now?
5.
6, 5?
5.
I mean,
It's 5.
how many generations ago was 5 iPhones ago?
We're on what, the XS right now? So XS.
No, we're on the.
No, we're on 11.
11. So 11 XS.
We skipped 9.
X, and then there was the 7 because the X and the 8 came out at the same time. So 7, and then the 6S. So 6S was 5 generations ago.
So basically, they're expecting like an iPhone 5 or an iPhone 6 to have had a removable battery.
And Apple has never had a removable battery.
They
but
never
that's
had
outside-
the original battery since the first iPhone.
Dude,
Yeah.
and
only
yeah,
reason-
but how
the only
about this?
reason-
How's this? The last time they had plastic covering a phone was the 3GS.
Yeah.
I don't even think it was Where was it? Was the plastic on the bottom piece, right?
It was plastic on the top and bottom near the camera, and then
the backs were plastic. The entire
No, the
back
backs
of
were
the 3
the backs were plastic.
the entire back of the 3G and the 3GS were plastic.
My dad has one laying around somewhere. I'll go and take a peek at it later and come back to you guys. I'll submit an edit for the. I'll put a clip in or something, and then maybe submit a link somewhere for a
Don't
comment.
worry about it. It's fine. If their phones are too old anyway, it doesn't make a difference. The only reason
Okay,
other than manufacturers,
the iPhone 3G's back featured a redesigned polycarbonate plastic housing.
Okay.
Replacing the aluminum back of the first generation.
Yeah.
Nice.
Anyway, but I'm saying the only reason other manufacturers had removable batteries to begin with when they first started making smartphones, like Apple, the first Android phones, were because they're sort of adapting their old designs to accompany touchscreens.
Yeah.
So
yeah, iPhone 3GS followed the 3G with the plastic as well.
and then the iPhone 4 came out and everything went back to normal.
Yeah.
Back to normal.
Well, they had a glass back on it
Apple's
before.
first generation had a metal back.
I know.
Then they were like, we don't need metal anymore, guys. We're gonna give them plastic.
And then we're
they
like,
immediately went
plastic
to
scratches,
glass.
we're going glass.
I was like,
And then they're like, glass shatters, we're going back to metal.
And then we went back to glass.
Yeah. Apple, make up your damn mind!
basically, Apple is the really, really, like, it's the nice kid in the corner who plays with the aluminum and the glass, but not really as socially, like, gonna talk to anybody. Just gonna sit there in the corner, play with its glass, and
Steve
hand out
Jobs.
really, really shitty phones.
I guess Apple really did take on the personality of its creator, huh?
I mean, yeah.
All right.
But
Does
anyway,
does anyone remember the when Apple used to have like termination days in their phones? Like,
I think we're going to be showing off our age if we talk about this any further.
yeah.
like
Um,
when you used to worry that your phone was gonna get shut off because the company said your phone only works till 2012. Because that's a long time ago at this point.
I guess to follow up our removable batteries, we're going to potassium batteries.
Yeah,
So,
boy.
I'm excited for the very first. I'm excited for the very first banana-shaped batteries.
Banana-shaped?
Banana-shaped batteries. I'm just kidding. So let me explain this a little bit to you guys. What's interesting is that it's not like they're actually completely made from potassium. It's actually just adding potassium to what a normal lithium-ion battery does.
Yeah.
So, as some of you may or may not know, in metal batteries, they've been plagued by accumulation of metal deposits called dendrites on the actual anode. And what happens is that it can short the battery and reduce its longevity and reduce its capacity over time, which is why lithium batteries have to be replaced. What this aims to do is to add a system inside of batteries, kind of switch to a self-healing factor. So they put, what is it? The self-healing process is what happens to a pile of snow after a storm has ended. The wind and the sun help move the flakes off the mountain. So essentially, with potassium in here, with the battery, when the battery heats up, it will actually be able to shake off these particles and deposits on the anode and be able to heal the battery. So, for instance, you plug your battery in overnight, it's charging, and
the battery
also
heats up a little bit.
that battery heats up and it triggers the potassium to heal and clean essentially the lithium metal anode. I think this is really interesting. One thing to say about this though is that they particularly say that in terms of performance, this could rival a traditional lithium-ion battery, which means this will actually impact performance.
Making battery replacements less common.
It will increase the ability for the battery to last a long time, be able to hold its full charge, which are both actually super important. But it will actually, like, you'll actually get less battery per milliamp hour. In, for instance, like if you were going to use this in a phone. So if you had a 5,000 milliamp hour battery like our S20 does, then once you get, if you were to put a potassium battery in there, you might not get that full 5,000 milliamp hours because it has to expend this power to heat itself up and melt the stuff off of the anode, essentially, which is what I think from my reading this Tech Explorer news site. Very interesting self-healing process for lithium batteries. That would increase the lifetime of many batteries, and also what we might be able to see is like a lot of like like eco-friendly stuff. This because lithium is not exactly
Eco-friendly.
eco-friendly to use. So not having to um yeah, so if they were to simply replace like all their batteries with this, we could see like a drop in the amount of lithium like needed in just everywhere. Like you wouldn't have to replace phone batteries as often. You wouldn't have to replace like for instance, I believe the Tesla battery would be affected by this as well. So this is actually something that is super important to these existing technologies before we get to graphene, which is what Justin's going to talk about.
Justin, cue.
All right. So sorry, wasn't sure if that was my cue or not.
Your
So
cue was when I said graphene.
I was unaware that was going to be my cue. Well, damn, screwed that up.
What was it? Did I interrupt you there for a second?
I was in the middle of just doing a quick brush up. So this article comes from Yahoo Finance.
You're not an expert on this. None of us are.
We're definitely not experts on this,
we're
but
not
we're newscasters.
I do have some familiarity with the
We
drafting
can't
topic.
read though, so I mean,
you can't read, Mr. Illiterate. I'm sorry, those mean.
He's dyslexia.
Whatever
that word is.
This article comes from Yahoo Finance, which is, I'd say, a relatively trusted source with some information, I guess. And it talks about supercapacitors and graphene through 2019 and 2030. And I guess it's outlook. So I guess to start here, graphene first was discovered in, I think it's at 2000. I think this half comes from Explain Stuff. Graphene was discovered in 2004, and it's essentially a super thin. We're talking microns. Super strong. We're talking 200 times stronger than steel. Super elastic. Yes, somehow it is both stiff, strong, and elastic. Go figure. It's like elastic like a rubber band, and highly conductive. It's great for heat and electricity. Obviously those two go hand in hand because when things get electrocuted or transmit electricity, they get hot. Anyone ever seen an electrified corpse? I haven't, but
that's a weird thing.
You want to tell us something, Justin?
No.
How many people are watching this that are not so creeped out?
Hey, you want to tell us something, Justin?
No, we're all good.
Don't hurt me.
I mean, I think I watch YouTube videos too often. Anyway.
What the fuck do you watch on YouTube?
Well, we're not going to talk about it. Anyway, so graphene, it has a flat hexagonal lattice of, or the flat hexagonal lattice of graphene offers relatively little resistance to electrons, which zip through it quickly and easily, carrying electricity better than even superb conductors such as copper, and almost as well as superconductors. Unlike superconductors, though, which need to be cooled to low temperatures, graphene's remarkable conductivity works even at room temperature. Scientifically speaking, though, we could say that the electrons in graphene have a longer mean free path than they have in any other material. In other words, they can go further without crashing into things or otherwise being interrupted, which is what causes electrical resistance. So, what can this be useful for? Is what this article questions. Imagine a strong, light, relatively inexpensive material that can conduct electricity with greatly reduced energy losses on a large scale. It should revolutionize electricity production and distribution from power plants. On a smaller scale, it might spawn portable gadgets such as smartphones with longer battery life. So the idea is graphene is a great distributor for electricity. It hypothetically would be great for the construction of phones because it's it can be part of composites that outside of it being small, it can be part of composites that are stronger and tougher, but thinner and lighter than current materials like glass and steel. Although in hindsight, I don't know if charging a device made out of solid graphene while you're holding it is a bright idea because it conducts electricity. Hindsight,
Well, you just put an
2020.
insulator around it.
They could,
That's all you gotta do. Just put an
but
insulator around
I
it.
mean,
Fine.
I mean, just
What do you think
thought,
they do with
you know,
copper?
yeah, but I mean, your phone's not made out of copper, and
Yeah,
for
but
all,
wires are.
yeah, but the glass on your phone doesn't have wires running through it. If your phone
Okay.
is made out of solid graphene and you touch it,
You
well,
don't
does
touch.
electricity
Well,
go
I
through it?
mean, you don't touch. You don't use. You don't make your phone out of graphene. People don't want your phone made out of graphene.
Well, I mean, the general idea is though is that it's transparent, it's tough, and
It's a wonder
conductive.
material.
It is for all intents and purposes a wonder material. Anyway, so the well, the article really leaves, from at least from Yahoo Finance, it leaves a lot to be desired with regards to pricing and some and whatnot. But estimates show that by 2025, graphene usage in the market for electronic devices could be up 20%. And I assume that's going to be on the premium end for flagships.
We're talking like the brand new iPhone or brand new Samsungs.
I would say it's probably going to hit Samsung first before it hits hits the iPhones, and that's because Samsung is one of the leading developers on graphene technologies.
I suppose Samsung just has money to throw at the problem.
Samsung owns an entire country, need I remind you?
It's called South Korea.
Yeah. But now it's interesting to note though that the article doesn't specify whether or not graphene can hold a charge, only that it can distribute a charge. So I guess that means in graphene, graphene in conjunction with maybe a potassium based lithium ion battery. And in conjunction, we'd maybe see better battery life, and stronger or better smart devices, and so on. So it's really just a matter of working in tandem. I guess in the long term, but no one knows what the future is going to be hold in store, and it would be nice to see some sort of big improvements, all things considered. I know we discussed it before, but graphene, at least graphene research for smart devices, has been going on since I was like a freshman or a sophomore in high school. Well over 10 years now.
I mean,
I'm old.
See you.
I'm feeling old. I don't particularly.
You just pay attention to this shit, please, for once in your life.
Hey, I'm gonna get you a cane for your next birthday.
Fuck off. Wait, hold on. Does that cane have a jetpack in it?
No, it's gonna be plastic, and I'm gonna grab it around Halloween.
Wait, what was that?
I said I'm gonna grab it around Halloween.
Oh.
It's gonna be very it's gonna be dumb.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
It's gonna have like a skull on the end of it or something.
You know what? As long as there's no testicles,
What if it's plastic?
Listen, I told Alex, I was busting one of Alex's balls once, and I told him that since you can't get any dick, maybe I'll get you a dick cane for your birthday since you're so old.
Next
that
topic.
way you can sit on.
Next topic.
David, you're up. You're up. It's Twitter.
Oh yes. All right. So we have the wonderful article about a new shareholder in Twitter. All right.
A new major shareholder.
Yes. So we have Elliott Management Corp. All right. They just got a big share of Twitter. All right. Enough where I believe they're
It's huge.
It's massive. All right.
Massive gone.
But they want the ouster of the current CEO, Jack Dorsey. He also is the CEO of Square. They don't like it. They don't like how he's basically PR. They don't like his PR strategies and how he's moving the company towards it.
Elon Musk backed Jack Dorsey though, so if that gives anyone any sort of hope.
It's a big problem for Twitter right now, because they got this big, basically shareholder now, and they have to listen to them. for someone.
I mean, do they really?
And they don't want the
Yes.
money to be taken away. Yes.
I'm fucking around. I know.
All right. Money speaks, especially when there's a shitload of it. Okay.
Money speaks.
Sad part. This is the sad part, but yes, it's when you have a big share because they actually own part of the company. All right.
That tends to be how stock ownership works. Yeah.
Exactly. So if you own it, you have a say in it. All right. And the more you own of it, the bigger say you have. Okay. So
Makes sense.
This is a problem for them because especially after all the they're not doing campaign ads anymore. That was a big thing you heard about them. They're basically there's also been a bunch of videos that's come out of Twitter moderators saying we will shadow ban certain people. They're undercover, so they're not doing this knowingly, but it's still there and it's disconcerting.
And they're not doing this out in the open.
Yeah, they're not doing it out in the open, but they're doing it, and that's the problem. And I believe this company bought into it to stop it, but this is a problem for Twitter, and they have to figure it. This is going to be a problem for them for an foreseeable future too. So Twitter has their shit cut out for them, but other than that, they got a big shareholder. They got a shitload of money. So the main thing I really want to get to is the Apple Care packages. Okay.
Sorry, that was a cough.
No, you come after this. This is funny as shit. It's also really so. If you are basically a Apple factory worker in China right now, you work in their factories, either making parts or doing final production. I don't think they do final production in China. I think they do final production in North America. I know they do some, and then
There's
Taiwan.
Taiwan.
They do final productions there. But if you're basically just dropping you a care package, I think he's actually dropping you a care package where you're getting a bunch of supplies and a free iPad. So they're dropping these for employees and what I'm gonna butcher these names so badly. Ranzhao or what the hell? Who dropped? Justin dropped.
What's up with him?
He dropped. I don't know what happened.
His internet went down
Big
because he ran out of a terabyte of data for the.
Wait, you use that for porn? Did he use that for the porn?
only his ISP.
Oh,
will
there
know.
he is. Here he is.
I'm
Hey,
back,
we
sorry.
were just talking about all the porn your ISP's been seeing recently.
Oh no, not the porn.
So basically, they're dropping this for people to stay. They're dropping supplies, and the iPad is to stay informed for the coronavirus outbreak in China at the moment. This is just good because I like to see the company actually giving a shit about their employees. You get a free iPad out of it, for fuck's sake. Okay.
Really?
So it is something. It's very interesting. I didn't know they would do this. I didn't think it would do this. I didn't think they would actually just airdrop you an iPad. Alright, I find that really freaking funny. And it's
Did
good.
Nice that Apple
Did
cares
it-
about people
did-
that are sick and dying.
Yeah.
Did it came with Purell and masks?
No.
Did it came with Purell and masks? I don't think it came with anything.
It came with food and soap.
Came with
And-
these nuts.
Came with
So they didn't send any Purell.
they sent soap.
Okay, well I
And they
said
sent
soap.
hand
That's
wipes.
basically so they said soap. They said mask.
Well, masks doesn't really help you in this situation. That's the thing. Coronavirus is more, I believe, physical contact. So
Well, coronavirus is spread through droplets. So if someone gets it, the best thing is to wear a mask. And if you're afraid of getting it, wearing a mask is also a good idea. Because just in case someone coughs or you touch something and then...
Still, it's still some sort of physical interaction too in there. So even if
it has to be physical interaction,
even if you're
but
wearing a mask, you can still get it.
But here's the thing though, the coronavirus lives on surfaces for 9 days.
Yes. Alright,
so
still.
shower and wash yourself.
So,
Exactly.
no, what I'm saying is, in other words, like, don't just trust somewhere just because you think they might be clean.
Exactly. Alright, but
Just do that shit
those
yourself.
masks, the problem is when you're giving out all those masks and everything, people are trying to buy them and everything, they're drawing from supplies. Alright, that other people who actually use them, who are actually interacting with the sick people, should need, because there's a shortage for them right now for medical professionals, because everyone's buying them.
There's shortages here in the U.S. for
Exactly.
so long.
All right.
They're honestly, biggest, funniest thing, water selling out.
The most important thing about this virus, if you want your best chance, all right, to not get the virus, is to wash your fucking hands. All right.
That tends to be how not getting viruses work.
The mask
I mean, honestly,
helps out
I know a lot of people,
but it's negligible sometimes.
I know it's the meme, but everyone carrying a Purell bottle with them is probably like I told
The problem
you
with
so
using
right
Purell, or hand sanitizer in general, is that hand sanitizer only serves to make viruses resistant long term.
That's why washing your hands
the other
better.
thing is that using Purell constantly can also weaken your immune system, because if your body never gets used to it, like for instance, getting the common cold for the first time is always the worst, because your body has a system of fighting back against the common cold the next time you get it. It's just,
Basically,
what the fuck was that?
If you accidentally lick a doorknob once in a while, you can get sick. Shit happens. All right, but you get stronger.
Dude, if you lick a doorknob, that's nasty.
Don't lick doorknobs. Doorknobs are nasty.
I know.
There are
David, are you telling us something?
Licker.
Nah.
Go fuck yourself.
I was gonna say you're a doorknob licker, but you're just out of focus.
All right, so you guys want to get?
I am out of focus.
You guys want to get to the best story tonight?
Yeah.
You ready for this?
Is there blackjack and hookers involved?
A fake 2020 candidate.
Oh yeah.
It's not the best.
It's one of the best. Okay.
It is by and far the best. I don't know what you're smoking.
Oh my god.
So Tubal of that is the best.
So the student who made this he's 17. Yes, he's 17. All right. By the way, he's not a kid. He's a teenager. All right.
Oh my god.
But he's trying to stay anonymous because he doesn't want to get in trouble for this. They show his face and everything in the video here.
You're not very anonymous, kid. Not gonna lie.
I know, they show his face and everything. They just don't mention his name. Alright? But he created a Twitter profile for a fake 2020 candidate running for a Senate spot in... I forgot which state. I believe it was like New York or something. Hold on. I don't believe it tells me in the article. It shows me in the video. I don't want to play the video because I don't want to get fucking shit driven up my ass. Yeah, it doesn't tell me what state, but it does come from New York. So CNN, I believe it's a New York story. So he created a fake Twitter profile for this fake 2020 candidate, and guess what? Twitter verified it. They verified it as a real person.
Maybe this is why Jack Dorsey is
verified
his job.
him before they verified half of the other nominee.
Yes, and the funny thing is, you all see the photo of him too. All right, it's right here.
He looks like a freak little kid who sits in the back of the room and shoots spitballs.
That photo is not even real. It's from an AI-driven.
What the kid looks like.
It's from an AI-driven photo generator. Okay. And they gave him a check mark. There was nothing. There was no way to they just slapped a check mark on there and said he's a candidate running for office. All right.
Dude, I don't even want to understand what the fuck's going on there.
Twitter is it's a giant shit show, bro. All right.
That's Twitter.
Twitter is also doesn't like Twitter. Like you hear all the bullshit that happens on Twitter too. All right. The people who get mad on Twitter are less than like even 10% of the population in the country. Okay. Most people don't agree with what people have to say on Twitter. Alright? Twitter is an absolute shit show. Alright? And this is one of the funniest things to come out of it in recent memory. The last thing I heard funny to come out of Twitter like this is when we covered it. It was the AI who became extremely racist. Bro, remember that?
This little prick, man. At the end, he's like, I had no malicious intent. I just wanted to simply test to see whether this could happen. So in case someone with bad intentions want to do this, Twitter now knows and can take steps.
I'm sorry, that sounds like something Jeff would say.
If I could do this as a high schooler, imagine what a highly trained team of people doing this could do.
Listen here, you little shit.
Listen here, little shit. Listen here, little shit.
This is one of the best points of the night, bro. This is so good. Alright.
Listen here, you little shit.
Now let's get to something actually fascinating. Alright.
Alright. Quantum internet.
Alright.
Boom.
This is interesting. Alright. This is mainly for security at the moment, but I want to think about something like interesting. So it uses quantum entanglement. What quantum entanglement does, from what I believe, or what I've heard, is that you can have two completely separate atoms.
Two separate particles that share the same space.
Yes.
And interact with each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they can be separated from as far as possible, from one end of the universe to the other. Alright? And as soon as one is observed, the other one has the exact same state. Alright? Now, it's not like that state updates at the speed of light. Alright?
No.
It's instantaneous. Alright? It breaks all laws of physics. Alright? That's why it's quantum physics. Alright?
Quantum.
And if we're able to transfer data over a quantum like entanglement fiber cable, like they're showing here, do you know the speed we can possibly gain from this?
Lots.
The speed would be fast.
There would be no speed.
But
there would be local connections.
Well, no, hold on. Okay, so first of all, the speed is fast enough that it doesn't make a difference to us anymore.
Yes, it would actually make no difference.
What's more important is the fact that these huge files that we're dealing with, like 8K footage,
they're nothing.
Downloaded
they're
directly.
Nothing.
They're nothing.
They're actually nothing.
But that makes a difference between like instant loading of YouTube videos, cool. Instant loading of 2 hours of 8K red footage. Holy shit!
It gets even farther. All right.
Holy shit!
This is just like a connection.
I mean, I know.
This could be used for anything. All right. This could cover our data sending problems in space. Okay.
That's true. Nice.
Elon Musk talking a bunch of shit about going to Mars. If this becomes a thing, all right, and we're able to use quantum entanglement and internet data transfers, all right, there is no delay. Okay. Because the current methods of us actually moving data around are subject to physics. All right.
Yeah.
So we already have fiber optics, which is basically work with light, and you have the speed limit of light in there. And yes, that speed limit is a hard cap. Okay. That speed limit is the reason why it takes us moving at the speed of light a shit ton more years just to get to the nearest star. Alright?
Yeah.
So
In
if
other
you're
words,
able, if
it's
you're able to
fast.
just bypass physics, it's ridiculous.
We're all gonna be connected in our heads. If you guys want to read a good book about what the future is gonna be like, read the book Feed. Feed. It's a really great book. All right. So my favorite topic of the night that I've been waiting
He's been waiting the
for
entire night
forever.
for this.
Like I've literally been waiting for this.
All night.
There are rumors. Hold on. There are rumors that the next iPhone SE will be named iPhone 9.
You heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. Next iPhone.
There are
potentially
rumors
iPhone 9.
that Apple is filling in the gap in their iPhone generation.
I'm gonna shoot myself over this.
USD
Hey,
Not
look,
even kidding.
cover
Look.
the middle and lower spectrums of Apple's.
Look, I'm waiting. All right, just because this is gonna become a thing, Microsoft releases Windows 9.
Even the bottom of the barrel has to
curse
get
of
Shut
better.
your
Windows
fucking
9.
mouth, David.
Hey, even the whiskey at the bottom of the barrel has to get better over time, right?
I mean, yes, but also shut your whore mouth.
The iPhone 9 is looking to be a improved iPhone 8
Basically, that's what these
with
super budget
with a
are.
with a larger full touch screen display. But okay, but it will still include Touch ID. It'll be exactly like an iPhone 8.
Yes.
Okay, you
With
get
a
an
newer
iPhone 8
processor.
updated with more processor and the same exact amount of RAM because Apple doesn't care about RAM.
The iOS doesn't use that much RAM.
and-
That's the thing.
Yeah, I know, but 512 megabytes?
512 megabytes are. There's no way it's 512 megabytes.
The first phone that had more than a gig of RAM or more was like
The phone
the
may
iPhone.
have an A12 Bionic chip and 3 gigs of RAM. Apple also gets a lot more mileage out of the RAM other than everyone else.
But the thing is, it's got an LCD display.
Yeah, I know.
But here's the thing: the iPhone 8 had an OLED display.
The iPhone 8, I don't think it had an OLED display.
Yeah, it did.
They only had OLED displays once the 10 came out.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it still an LCD?
No, they were all LCDs until the 10.
They're all LCDs, and it's just like really another Touch ID phone. Are you
Okay,
serious?
people fuck with us Touch ID. Okay.
Look, check this out. Check this out. You're pretty much cutting the entire. Like you don't even have notches. It's just black bars.
Okay. People fuck with Touch ID. Okay.
Okay, I understand Touch ID is great because you don't have to fucking stare at your phone.
All right. This basically what
It
this
is.
phone.
Open it.
This is not the phone for us. This is a phone for people who had like this is for like your grand. This is something for I get for my grandpa.
Yeah, this is the
Okay.
phone you get for your grandma who wants an iPhone so she can track her family.
had an
outside
iPhone
my
before.
friends. Let's see where
This
my
is something you
phone
upgrade
is
your.
today.
This is something I would upgrade my grandpa's old iPhone.
But the
5,
fact that they're gonna name it the iPhone 9,
it's just a memery at the best.
It's
It's-
100% a meme.
I would love it, bro. I would cry.
Apple has decided to concede with their stupidity and fix their shit
No, dude, it's not even
with
continuing
a
their
with
stupidity.
a with a
It's-
shitty
it's
iPhone
memeing
8
their-
remake. With a
It's
shitty iPhone 8 remake.
100% memeing their customers. I'm sorry.
I'm still waiting for the 8S.
The 8S.
Jerry, I want you to think about what you said there, and then sew your mouth shut with stainless steel thread.
What? We went 6,
Yes. The 8S.
6S, 7, 7S. We have 8.
No, there was
We're
no
gonna be
7S.
getting 9
There was no
soon.
7S.
Okay, we didn't have a 7S.
Yeah.
Fuck it, we should have had a 7S.
Just is so done with
Because the fact we went
it was so
6S,
beautiful.
7, 8, 10,
Justin, you don't get to buy
10
the
and a
phone. You're just
half,
gonna be you just
11,
gotta laugh about
9.
it. Okay? Justin, You don't have to like the phone, okay? But you can at least enjoy
Justin.
the memory of it, okay?
Just
Calm the
Justin,
fuck down.
look at me real quick. 6, 7, 8, 10, 10 and a half, 11, 9.
Oh my god.
Fuck you, Apple. Just fuck you. I mean, at least Samsung went Galaxy 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20. We skipped 10 numbers.
Hey, you know what?
At
You
least
know
we're
what?
staying with the theme.
You know what? There's only one company I know that never changed.
Okay.
PS1, 2, 3.
I mean, we went Xbox to Xbox 360, Xbox One,
Xbox Series X.
Xbox One X.
There's too many X's! Wow!
2019, 2018 was nothing but years where everything would just have X.
I mean,
from
LG
the end of
is
it.
still pretty on track.
No one cares about LG anymore.
Robot Camo by D Brands. Sponsor us.
I've got the robot
Oh.
camo because it honestly looks pretty cool. I love it.
God. That was funny.
That's
Alright.
fucking wonderful, bro. You were waiting
Alright,
the
well,
entire
You're
night.
fucking wonderful, bro. All right, the last
Alright,
topic
go
of the
ahead,
night
Justin.
before we shut off. So, words, Justin. Do you want to help defeat the coronavirus? Well, now you can. Scientists have released a game, quote unquote, where you have a full model with all of these protein spikes to accompany it of the coronavirus. You're given proteins or enzymes, I guess, that have that can bond, or that are capable of various types of enzymes and proteins that you can mold together to bond to the different like spikes, receptors on the coronavirus, and that will kind of help in the fight to synthesize a cure by identifying proteins, enzymes, and so on that can interface with the coronavirus.
The funny thing is that they're
The link
just,
for it is right here. So do it. Go for it. Fight the
funny
coronavirus. Be
thing
a
is-
scientist.
the normal solution to this would be throw money at the problem. All right,
We're throwing human ingenuity and tons of
throwing-
computer
No,
gamers
no,
at
no,
it.
no. We're throwing people who just stay in their rooms all day and play video games at the problem.
I mean, hey,
Alright.
those are the same people that also probably won't be getting the coronavirus because they don't interact with the public. So they're our best bet.
All right?
David, do it. You've got this.
You have one person, all right, who just grinds the fuck out of this game, bro.
I mean, it's literally a game,
you
but
want
it is.
You want to incentivize people?
Have you guys seen that Plague Inc. got taken off of Chinese?
Yeah, it's the top game right now on the App Store. And
I'm going to meme this right here. I'm going to create a fucking norovirus called Coronavirus 19 and fucking do it.
hold up.
Hey, I once did Pokemon Go as a virus, if that counts.
I've got this.
COVID-19, man. There it is.
Top paid games. There it is.
Oh no, David! I'm making a bioweapon and I'm calling it Coronavirus COVID-19.
COVID-19. Oh my god, dude.
All right.
Hold on, I'm gonna do this live right now for everybody,
That's
just
awful.
for the memes.
Alright, no.
Bioweapon, normal.
Here's the thing. All right.
Tune in next week for Justin's
No. We have a little bit more to say after
under
this.
50 days.
Hold on. All right. So here's the thing. All right. You want to really incentivize people to do this? Put it on speedruns.com. All right.
Oh my,
Oh my
god.
god. Oh man.
We can amass so much information
It would be super
through this.
God damn. He did it.
Just throw it on
David,
speedrun.com.
You win, David. You win for that one.
Put it on
Yeah.
speedrun.com. See how
David won-
fast you
David
get a
won
vaccine
today.
for it. Okay. Just do it, alright?
Hey guys, they just gotta boot up my Play game real quick.
Alright.
It's totally worth it.
It will be sweet.
Wait, hold on. Wait, it would be Plague Inc. COVID-19 Speedrun 2020.
Alright.
3
IRL.
months. 3 months speedrun. You kill the entire Earth in 3 months.
You would
I'll
have
do it. No balls.
you have an entire subreddit about it. Okay, people would be putting together the best strats
Well,
for
hold
it.
on. You have to pick that it originates in China, Justin.
I'm doing it.
Oh no.
Oh.
All right.
All
Maybe
right.
we should not.
No,
back
fuck
this.
you. I'm doing this right here.
We might end up getting like targeted,
Oh shit, you're right.
So
Like-
anyway,
like the guy who
Suicided?
originally gave the red warning that the coronavirus was coming.
Done. Started in
Did anyone hear
China.
about that one?
hi there, Mr. FBI man.
No. Did you hear what I said?
Hold on. Look, done.
Here it is. All right, we're
I
dead.
had
Thank
to.
you,
I'm
Justin.
memeing the shit out of this.
All right.
Love you guys.
So one last thing before we head out tonight is that we had the
Because I'm an
YouTube,
ass.
we had the YouTube channel up. I got the YouTube channel up and running. It's in the panels down below. If you're willing to, if you want to go subscribe to the YouTube channel, do it, please. For the love of God.
Yeah,
please
you can
help us.
watch our weirdness and
Yeah, everything will be archived there. And that's all I need to say for tonight because I finished everything else.
And
Yeah,
good night.
That's it. Have a good night, ladies and gents.
And fuck you all, and you, and
Hey.
especially you.
No, fuck you.
Take it easy, guys.